Today I'm going to be showing you how to build an awesome palace in Minecraft. To begin with, you're going to need to build a massive crater. You could use a pickaxe for about 12 hours, or my preferred method, TNT. So now you need to find a location for your crater. Somewhere like this would do best. Now, for the layout of your TNT, I recommend that you create a grid pattern like this where each cobblestone is 3 blocks apart. Now, dig 28 blocks underneath this cobblestone, then place back 25 blocks of TNT as well as 3 blocks of cobblestone at the top. Now it's time to ignite the TNT. Do this by destroying the top 3 cobblestone blocks of any random piece, igniting the TNT, and then running. So now we have a massive crater, but it looks like a complete mess. There's random bits of cobblestone floating, and random bits of water flowing in. So that means that our first step to do would be to clear all this out. So now, when we look at the walls, you can see they look like a complete mess. There's so many different types of stone that it just doesn't look nice. So replace all of them for just regular old stone. Okay, so now the floor of your crater, it looks like it was an explosion, which to be fair it was, so start by neatening it up. Now we need to add some texture, which basically means putting random bits of gravel or andesite throughout the entire area, as well as adding a few cobblestone slabs here and there. So how about you add a bit of water, that way you've got a little bit of contrast against all these greys. You could also add a bit of grass for a bit of greenery as well. Now, your crater should look much more like this. So now it's time to focus on the side walls of your entire cabin. So, you remember how we just neatened up the floor? Well, now it's time to do that to all the walls too, as well as adding texture to them. And make sure you do this throughout the entire cabin. And so, your cabin should look much more like this. Now this looks a lot less like it's an explosion that's something. So now you need to decide which wall you want to start building your palace on. And I've decided I'm using this one for this video. So now create a line connecting the 2 sides of the cabin. Then turn this line into a platform that actually connects to the back of the cabin. So now build up that original line 6 blocks higher so that you have a wall that looks like this. So now it's time to focus on one of the walls. I started on the very right one, making an entrance looking like this. Next, I made spaces for arches in the middle wall. This was so that I could have space for windows. Then, for the third and final wall, I used this wall to create an electro landing bay. But if you look behind this wall, you'll realise it's quite cramped and you can't really fit any sort of rooms in here. So, behind these walls, it's very cramped, isn't it? So start by pushing all this back 5 or 6 blocks, and then changing all the floor to be smooth sandstone. But before we can continue on the interior, we need to focus on a very big problem with the exterior. It's floating. That's not normal. So you could either add pillars like this, or you could merge it back into the rocky terrain. Make sure to detail it. And now back to the interior. We still need more space, so push this back wall 25 blocks back. Then make sure that the entire floor is also smooth sandstone. Next we'll need to add a floor plan. Do it like this so that you have multiple different rooms and one long room in the centre. The first room we have to focus on is this long hallway at the front. I decorated it like this, but it's completely up to you how you decorate yours. Next we need to focus on the entrance to the throne room. I made something like this, but it's completely up to you. Now, you need to dig down 1 block so that you have space to build a massive carpet leading up to your throne. Then, place randomly throughout the entire thing red concrete powder. Then fill the rest of the gaps in with red wool. And once you've done that, add bits of random red carpet over the top as well. Then, at the end of the carpet, add your throne. Next, with the red wool you use for your outline, replace it all with sandstone and fill it up to the ceiling. Next, detail the walls. I used arches going across. Also, don't forget to add an actual ceiling so that it's not just stone. I used regular sandstone. Now we need to focus on the different rooms. Perhaps you could make a library, or perhaps you could make a dining hall. These rooms are just completely up to you. We have all this space on the outside, so why not use it? Start by making these small viewing platforms. Then connect these small viewing platforms to the main palace and to the other viewing platforms. You can do this by looking at the coordinates at the top left on Bedrock Edition or the F3 menu in Java Edition. Make a small path leading over to those coordinates. You should end up with something looking like this. Also, if you want to, you can create another entrance into your palace by adding a stairway leading into your viewing platform. Once you've done this, you might realise you have 1 spare room left. I recommend that you have a spare spare bedroom in here. That way any guests coming over to your palace can sleep, but it's completely up to you. Another thing you might need to keep in mind is that there's no roof over that original entrance into your palace. So I recommend adding a smooth sandstone roof like this. But you can continue adding your creative input to the build. Maybe you could add another few small beds to the side, or maybe even a master bedroom with a view over the entire chasm. It's completely up to you. Your chasm should look like this from above. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, liking that smash button, clicking the video on the left or the one on the right, and goodbye.